let's talk for a moment about the fact that you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do if you want to do it and truly desire to do it. Anything you want. There's this perception that it's hard and that it's difficult. It's not. It really isn't. Anything you want to do, you can do. It might take you time. It might take some effort, some dedication, persistence. Practice, patience, persistence, as my guide said. Here's the thing. A lot of people look at me and they go, they want to be where I'm at. Whether it's spiritually, whether it's in business, wherever. They want to be where I'm at. And I'm like, you can be. And they go, well, how do I do that now? You can't do it now. But you can do it in the now to create it for your now, for your future. I have written 20, I think the book I'm working on right now will be the 22nd book that's published. I have, no, I did publish those other two. So yeah, 22 books written. I have an oracle deck. I'm working on 2 more right now. For years, I was a freelance web developer working for myself with my own schedule and free time, doing whatever I wanted to be able to do, create, all that. With a spiritual business, I, work on these videos for everybody to watch, and I have hundreds of videos now, hundreds of reels, hundreds of full-length videos, as I call them, 20 minutes plus. And that didn't happen overnight. I've drawn thousands and thousands of pieces of art, galactics, fairies, ETs. Didn't happen overnight. It happened a little bit a day, and you don't have to work hard every day to get it done. That's the key. A lot of people get hung up on this, oh, I have to spend 8 hours in school every day. I have to go to college every day. I have to go, or whatever it is, take a course every day. No, you don't. You don't have to spend all that time. You have to do a little bit every day. Because here's the thing. Most people want something, desire something. They want to write a book, but they will never pick up the pen. They want to make an oracle deck, but they will never pick up a pencil and draw or write. They want to start a business, but they will never take the first step in whatever business that is. Because they don't truly want and desire it in that moment. Or they're distracted, or they feel that they have too much going on and aren't willing to commit to it. It could be a multitude of reasons, but all of that comes down to they don't truly want and desire it, because if they truly wanted and desired it, they would find a way. You want and desire the reality you create and live in if you're not doing something to change it. If you want to change your reality, you have to do something to change it. You have to take action, inspired action. You don't have to take a lot of action. Now, you also have to come back to yourself and remember that everything you do is 80% inner work, spiritual work, healing, magnetizing. And that's a topic, bigger topic for another day. But one of the first steps that you can do is just taking 5 to 10 minutes a day or 15 every day and performing an action, an inspired action towards what you want or desire. When I was at conventions, I think I went to my last convention almost 2 years ago, and I plan on going again, but I took a break so that I could build more. They were taking too much of my time. And I went, what do I want? And this is a good point, which is why I'm segueing into this. I looked at, the conventions are draining me right now. I could be spending that time building something. So I went, I'm not going to continue doing them even though I could. I'm going to build something instead. You can do that in your life. look at the things you have in your life and figure out, what are you doing? Are you binging Netflix on the weekends? Are you, going out partying and drinking and all this other stuff? Do what you want. They're popping a story in my head. There was a story I heard in college, and I haven't thought about this in a long time. There was a story I heard in college from, I think it was a professor of mine, a religion professor, who said they had a friend when he was in college, and they would go out, they would party, they would do college things. They would do college things. Hang out, party, play pool. When you're in college, usually you're drinking, being a college kid. And he goes, that friend showed up at graduation and was valedictorian of the graduation. None of his friends could understand how. They couldn't understand how. They're like, how were you able to become valedictorian when all you did was party? You go out to dinner with us, you party, you after school activities, whatever it was, you'd be in class. And he goes, yeah, but what was I doing from the time that I left you guys till the time my first class? He was studying. He'd get some sleep, he'd get up, he'd study. He used the time to study, even though nobody saw it, and became valedictorian because he always was making sure to prioritize that time so he could do the other stuff. With me, when I'm going back to conventions, people would come up to the table, and when I started, I had 2 books. I had Fury and Revenge. They are urban fantasy stories. It's a series I've built out. I even have another book written that just needs to be edited right now. And I built this series out from 2 books at conventions, and I had 2 books for the first 6 months I was going to conventions. I only had the 2 books plus some plus artwork that I was doing, and people saw that, and then they saw a 3rd book pop up, and then a 4th, and then a 5th, and then all of a sudden there were like 15 books on the table. And they were like, how did you do that? They go, I want to be a writer. How did you do that? I don't know how to do it. And I go, well, have you written anything yet? And they go, no. Number 1 answer, have you started writing? No. I don't know where to start. Well, if you want to write, you have to start writing. If you want to make art, you have to start making art. If you want to work on cars, you have to start working on cars. If you want to cook, you have to start cooking. If you want to knit, if you want to, I don't know what else. Like anything you want to do. If you want to do botany, you have to start working with plants. If you want anything you want to do, you have to start. And that's the biggest problem people have, is they will not start. The majority of people you meet will never start the things they talk about wanting to do, that they desire, because they do not truly want or desire them. They want the reality they're living in because they're comfortable in it. They're comfortable in that reality, and doing that will create discomfort because it will create change. And most people subconsciously know that. Even though it's change for the better, they subconsciously know it's going to shift their reality. Create change, difficulty, will probably lead to shifting relationships, all kinds of different things. So when you do this, the number 1 thing I would tell people is, like, you have to start. Starting means spending 5, 10, 15 minutes a day working on it. You do not have to spend 8 hours. You don't have to do all that. Like, when I was writing, I can write 2,000 to 3,000 words in 40 minutes, depending on the subject. Fiction's more difficult to write, closer to 2,000. Nonfiction flows very easily because I know it, closer to 3,000. 40 minutes. A novel, the low end of a novel is 40,000 words. If you write for 40 minutes every day at 2,000 words, I can have a novel in 40 days. That means in the course of a year, I can write probably 9 to 10 novels in a year, writing only 40 minutes a day. That's it. You don't have to spend all kinds of time and energy, and actually you shouldn't, because you'll burn out. You should come up with a goal number. My goal number was 2,000 words a day. And so you write that, and you do that work, and you end up with 20 plus books. But how did I end up with that? It wasn't overnight. People see the result and they want to be there. They don't understand I've been working on this since 2017. It's 2020, end of 2023 as I write this. I published my first book, Fury, on like December 1st-ish of 2018. And we're right at that date coming up. So I will have published it'll be my first book anniversary in a few days, and that's what, 18, that's 5 years. But I was doing the work 2 years beforehand and had already written, that was my third book, I believe, third book. Fourth, if you want to count how many times I wrote the spiritual book and kept deleting it and wasn't ready for it. But my third book was the one I published first. And I kept doing that and spent the time. Now, yes, I don't have a family. I don't have a 40-hour-a-week job. I don't have the responsibilities of parenthood at this time, and a lot of other things that can distract you. But if you look at anybody's life, even when you boil it down, you can ask them, where can you make 15 minutes of time? Most people can make 15 minutes of time, even parents. You can start going through their day and going, you can do this. You can do it right here. Kids are napping. You want to change your life? You want to be a writer? Leave the dishes to the side. Do the writing while they're napping. Or stay up late. They go to sleep. Stay up a little later. Let yourself sleep a little less. Put in a little bit of effort before sleep. Do that. What works for most people, I'm not a morning person, from what I understand is most people with kids, they talk about getting up early before the kids get up, and that's the time they write or do creativity or whatever for an hour. 15, even just 15 minutes helps. 15 minutes a day. Everybody can carve that time out. But what it comes down to is most people will say, no, I can't carve that time out. But you can. You can make it. You can create it. You can look at your schedule and go, yes, I can. Where can I find it? What am I doing? What do I need? Do I need help? Do I need to shift a little bit of work off on somebody else so that I can do this for 15 minutes? All you need is 15 minutes a day. Because if you spend 15 minutes a day, at the end of a year, you've spent more time doing something that you want to do than most people will ever do their entire life, because they will just say no and stay in the comfortable situation. And again, if you could write, let's say the 2,000 words at 40 minutes. If you can write 2,000 words a day, even if it takes you longer than 40 minutes, doesn't matter. Just say 2,000 words a day. You could have a novel in 40 days. Less probably, because what happens is you start writing and then you start writing more and find out you love it and start doing it more and creating more time for it and moving things around and going, oh, I'm putting too much time into that. I'm going to pull that back because I don't really need to do that. I don't like doing that. I don't need to do that. I'm going to do this and shift my life and make it the way I want to be. But to be creative, to be a creator and do the work of creating your life, you have to put in the energy and show the universe that you want what you desire by taking inspired action. So the other thing to understand too is as you do that, people will leave your sphere. People will become jealous. They will become jealous that you are doing it. People that you thought weren't jealous would never be that. You thought were your biggest friends, family, whoever. They will come back on you. They won't agree with you. They won't support you. You will probably have a lot of people around you that fall away because their jealousy of you actually taking action on your desires reflects that they are not doing the same. And so you end up bringing yourself into a higher state of vibration, bringing yourself into a better life, co-creating your life, but also dropping those people who are holding you back in a low vibration in a reality of comfort. Doing your own thing is not comfortable. Doing what you want is not comfortable. Society does not support that. That's what we're changing. That's what we're fixing. The outside, the society on the outside will look at you and be like, what are you doing? Don't do this. Because you're going to reflect back to everybody else, which is a large majority of people out there right now, that they will not say yes. That they will not say, yes, I can do this. Whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is. They will not say yes to doing what's in their heart. Writing, creating, working on a car, building houses, being a gardener, doesn't matter what it is. And the more you do that, the more you'll find people aligned to you who will support you. So just keep that in mind as you go, that it's not an easy journey to say, you know what, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to say, yes, I can, instead of no, I can't. The more you say, yes, you can to what you want and desire, the more you'll get what you want and desire. But also understand it does not happen overnight. This stuff you see on the internet about overnight millionaire, overnight this, overnight that, it does not happen without you doing creative, without you putting in inspired action. The overnight part can happen. Don't get me wrong there. It can happen. But what these people are not telling you on the internet is that they also spent an enormous amount of time doing inner work, healing, building, doing creative work. The creatives who are overnight, you know, wealthy overnight, big contracts with, you know, media companies or whatever it is, they didn't get that just sitting there. They spent years working on their craft, working on whatever it is that they're doing. And you don't have to spend years doing it 8-10 hours a day. You can spend years doing it every day, but a little bit a day. Because like me, if you spend a day every day writing 2,000 words, in that phase when I was writing all those books, 2,000 words a day gave me 22 plus books. And I'm still creating more. So when the time comes for somebody to say, hey, we want to publish you, or some other opportunity comes, I have the background, the content, the creation, the product, the portfolio, whatever you want to call it, to say, here's what I have to offer. A lot of people don't know Harry Potter took, I don't know, it was 10, she, if I remember right, she had written those books 10 years before they were published. But she didn't go, I need a publisher, how am I going to get rich overnight? She just wrote her books because that's what she loved to do. I didn't say that with the, like, how am I going to sell this, all that. I just started writing because it was healing me and I loved doing it. So I was writing it. That was the point. Write. Do what you love. Do what you want to create. I never saw myself doing spirit art. I never saw myself writing the spiritual books. I thought I was going to write fantasy, and then my guides came to me and asked me to actually publish the spiritual book I always wanted to write. And then it turned into 7 text-only books, novel-like books, yeah, an illustrated book, and I'm working on my next illustrated version. And I have other ideas for, 5-6 other books. I didn't get into it to sell the books, to do that. I wrote them because I wanted to write them to heal, to change my life, to share them with people. And then people come. So don't focus on the end result. Focus on Figuring out what is it that you want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do, experiment, play around with things, buy kits, go to events, buy kits, whatever it is. Experiment and play around with stuff to figure out what is it you want to do. And when you figure out what you want to do, understand that that's not what you're going to do. Understand that's what you're going to do in that now moment, and it's going to evolve and shift and change, and you flow with it. And as long as you flow with it and keep doing it and keep building from your heart and keep building and building and building, in a year you'll have something. In 2 years you'll have more. And then you'll have people coming up and asking, oh my God, I want to do this just like you. How did you do it? Well, it didn't happen overnight. It took hard work. It took years of work. So always remember that. Always remember it doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. It takes work, and you can work just a little bit a day. 10 to 15 minutes a day will change your life over a year, because 10 to 15 minutes of creating a day will give you something. Whatever you're creating at the end of a year, you might have a lot of it. You might have one thing, but you'll have more progress doing that one thing, that one creation, than 90% of the people in your life who are sitting there saying, I want to be an artist, I want to be a writer, I want to be a musician. And they're just sitting there saying they want and desire it, but doing absolutely nothing about it. There's a big difference to saying yes and to spending 10 to 15 minutes a day than talking about it, gossiping about it, complaining about not being it, in that, all that energy, versus spending that time doing it. Because if you do it, you're going to become it. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to check out awakenwithwillow.com if you're interested in spirit art readings, books, and some of the things I talked about in this video. And I love you all.